is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to episode 4 of Sunday Morning Conversation, where we talk to content creators, large and small, about the TCG, Pokemon, and card business, about cards, content, and everything in between. If you want to be on a future episode of Sunday Morning Conversation, feel free to email me in the description below or on Instagram. Today, we have an incredibly special guest, someone I and probably you have been following for years and probably have instrumented some kind of his advice into your business or how you do things. Let's welcome Brian from PokeNe.com. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me, man. I'm on my hiatus right now, so this was a good little soiree back into the camera work. So I'm having a good day. I'm excited to talk shop again.
Yes, sir. I forgot that you're on your break when I initially emailed you, and I was like, maybe he won't, but you did, and I couldn't be happier. Before we get to it, though, I do need to thank you. I'm probably the biggest winner of the Barboach Appleton sweepstakes. I have a sizable, well, not compared to others, but I have about a couple 100,000 cards listed on Tcgplayer because I mainly do bulk. And I remember when you pushing Barboach, I woke up to about, I think I had 450 total copies roughly of that card, and I thought it was like a playable thing. And then I saw your video later that day, and I was like, "Let's go!" So let me know where to send the donation, and I'll send it your way.
That's hilarious.
The first thing I wanted to ask you, which is something I really respect about you and some of the other guys I follow, is how much of a merchant of truth you are, especially in this business and starting from where I've gone to and to now. I found that it's really you really have to be focused in on what you're doing, and you can't really pay attention to a lot of the noise. And a lot of times you can get yourself in trouble when you kind of bend over backwards for someone else in the hobby or the business, because you may not get that back. And it's very easy for someone to get taken advantage of, especially when you're starting off. So I was curious, have you always been this kind of, no nonsense kind of guy with your advice and how you handle things? Or was there a nexus event where maybe you were a little kinder, for lack of a better term, but you realized through a rough time that you had to shape up?
I love that word, kinder. Every time I meet someone that knows me from YouTube, usually at conventions, but like recently at a Starbucks, I'm always like, I'm nicer in real life, I promise. So I kind of step it up a little bit for the camera, but no, I've always kind of been this way. Before Pokemon, I watched a lot of like Gary V, Alex Hormozy, all the business tube people, and they all have kind of a central theme of just telling it how it is. And I'm like, oh, well, they're rich and famous, I guess I should probably do the same thing. But even in personal life, it's like, don't beat around the bush, just say what you mean and say it confidently. But yeah, I'm nicer in person, I promise. I'm not a complete dick.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell that. I have a pretty good talent for reading people. Especially with content, it's so easy to see what someone puts on the camera and just say that's totally them. And I've talked about it with some people before where, if you put yourself out there as one thing and then you start to deviate from that, all of a sudden they'll think that where you are for the status quo is now a show, when it's actually not, and you're just kind of doing your thing. The reason why I wanted to ask that was because, and as of this video going live, it's probably about a week or two, there was a tweet that you put out about Danny Phantom and the MSRP kind of eternal struggle that people have when it comes to the highs and lows of the hobby. I personally agree with everything you said in that tweet. There's no winning when you own a store or a business like yourself. You can charge things. I think you've done your own share of keeping things at MSRP or as cost effective as possible for most people. And no matter what you do, you get crapped on, and anyone else out there will get crapped on for whatever. And what a lot of people don't understand is when you don't put a limit on that, you're going to get taken advantage of. When you're running a business, you have to make the money and not necessarily everybody else. So how do you draw the line in between keeping the status quo and keeping your customers happy, but also fending off scalpers who maybe are trying to start their own thing, but are maybe taking it a little too far?
Yeah, I mean, I set like 10 alarms for this interview, so phone is off now.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, how do you draw the line? It's just guess and check, basically. And you know, with Danny Phantom, and he's probably the most pure and wonderful person in this thing. I think 99% of people agree. But with anyone who's like really like a good person, like Leonhardt, for example, I think for the most part, years ago, everyone loved him to death, and since then he's had some controversy. Even Coop, of all people, like he did one thing that was kind of messy, like not even,
Yeah.
but just one tiny little thing about his autograph cards. I found that if you only present yourself as like a good person, whether you are or are not, as soon as you make one wrong move, it's over. And so, you know, you look at like Kanye and like Eminem, they were always kind of like a-holes and they're uncancelable. So for me, I tried to do like you know, I'm going to look out for the people only. I'm going to do cheapest prices out there, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized that's just not scalable in the market. You know, when I was doing MSRP regularly, we were in a different market. It was like I could get as much as I wanted from distro. If I ran out of inventory, distro typically would hook me up with more. So it just made sense because I get to be the nice guy. I get sales. The profit margin's good if you do MSRP, as long as you can replenish the inventory. When I made the shift, it was mostly because of Journey Together, where um, I had everything at MSRP, and I genuinely did it that way. I did the Danny Phantom method because I look up to him, and he's obviously successful. And I got like 500 boxes from distro. It's been a while, several hundred boxes from distro, and they all sold out in like 2 minutes because of course they did. The market price was like 200-ish, and I was selling it for 160. And so then I got like, I mean, dozens and dozens of emails either accusing me of faking it or saying that bots took over my site and yelling at me for not preventing the bots, which, by the way, guys, Pokemon is a, what, 100 and, what
Yeah.
are they, like $100 billion company or
Lots of
something?
zeros. Lots of zeros. Yeah.
Yeah, like tens of billions of dollars. They can't prevent bots. So I don't know how some idiot farm boy from Omaha, Nebraska is supposed to. But just the sheer anger. And I know like Danny and other, I think XP collects, I know they get these emails too. And I was like, well, if I'm going to get shat on for doing this, I might as well just raise the prices to match the market like everyone else is doing. And ironically, I never got another negative email again. Like it's when you try too hard and you fail, you get completely decimated. But when you don't really try to, and about this isn't no woe is me stuff. Like this is Pokemon.
Of
None of
course.
this is serious. Like I need to paint a picture. Like I'm good. My mental health was not affected by this. It was just kind of like, well, I might as well just take advantage of the market. And when the market shifts and no one wants ME7, then I'm not going to charge MSRP. I'll charge $105. I'll make my 10% margin and we'll move on. I think trying to be different, it works sometimes, but in a lot of times it doesn't. And so I don't know. That's where I drew the line. I was like, I'm just going to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned is it's good to be different, but being different for the sake of being different is like not a good plan at all because it almost always will end up blowing up in your face. Speaking of the market, how, it's been a month or so since we heard from you. How do you feel about what's going on in the market right now? Because I think everyone kind of thought, I thought things might have died down a little bit, but the fact that there's still such fervor and now there's more and more big money coming into the hobby and we still haven't even hit the 30th celebration yet, I'm starting to think that when everything goes down, which I think anyone who's been in this business or hobby knows it's going to happen, that it's going to be a lot more how singles are. When singles go up, they go up and then they don't go all the way back down. They just kind of go down like halfway. Do you think there's ever going to be a situation where there's $100 boxes again, or are there enough people and money in this space now where it's kind of just, it's written on the wall that things are going to be like this for quite a while?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. Like, there was someone that commented, they're like, oh, boxes are never going to MSRP again. I'm like, bruh, like, come on. Like, yeah, they will. When, I don't know, but it's so silly to think that this hype is going to last. Like, I mean, when people say it's never going to go back down, like, are they talking about never as in like the next 2 years, or never as in like the world's existence? Like, of course, and it might be 1, 2, 3, 10, whatever, but like, come on, they're going to go back to 100. People are going to stop caring for a little bit, and then it'll come back up, and it's a cycle. And I think you're spot on with the singles thing. It's like, it's right now, in my opinion, we can't really go more crazy. Like we're as zany and cuckoo as it's gonna get. And I think there will be a quote unquote crash on certain things. Some people would describe prismatic evolution as crashed. It's
Hmm.
$160 or something, and it was 200. And some people would call that a crash, but the reality is it's still triple what MSRP is. And so when this crash, big air quotes, gets rectified, yeah, it was 200. It crashed to 160, and I think it'll end up at 185. And just like you said, it's like it evens out, and in the end, it's way higher than it was at the start. I think we're gonna see that for a while. I famously predicted that the Mega Evolution block is when things would settle down. And in an older video, I said as soon as ME1 comes out, it's donezo, everything's back to normal. And then in more recent videos, I arbitrarily always throw ME7. So ME7 is still like 4 sets away.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm right. But based on how Perfect Order went, which seems to be doing a-okay to me, it seems to be pulling a Journey Together situation. I think Opossum Bud said that. I think he's spot on. I don't know. I think it might be a hot minute. The 10th generation, it seems like new generations usually bring negativity. I know Scarlet and Violet people hated the borders, they hated the Pokemon, blah blah blah, and it ended up obviously insane. I don't know if there'll be that same negativity with the 10th gen. People like the starters. It's just a different climate. So we're fine. I feel like we're finally, one of my tweets, my 2 a.m. Manic tweets, as people call them, was regarding how the 30th anniversary is going to, like, everyone thinks that, oh, after the 30th, it's all going back to normal. I'm like, bruh, nobody's investing in Prismatic at $170 because a video game came out 30 years ago. Like, come on. Like, the 30th anniversary, it doesn't matter at this point, in my opinion. Like, the market and the 30th anniversary are completely mutually exclusive things that don't matter.
Yeah.
The ones that can go back to normal, I think it'll fizzle out like everything else. Maybe like a year or two. I don't know. I have no idea, but it will.
Yeah, it will. And it's scary for people trying to start now because, as someone who's been in the bulk business for a while, I had a lot of debt that I had to pay off, and I always wanted to sell cards. But after being in the amount of debt I was in and out, I never wanted to start a business on debt. So I've been like on the grind train of bulk to, even if it came to the point where I had to, I want to be able to take it as little as possible and just, work my 20 hours and really, really go for it. And a lot of people who are getting into it now, solely betting on Pokemon, are going to be in a rude for awakening for, even if it's not a big crash, like you said, even if it's just a 20 or 30% or 40% cut, it's going to be brutal. And that's where, like you said before in some videos, that's where folks like you and me and other people who have a solid foundation built are going to be able to come in and, buy from these people who are looking to liquidate. And that's where your booster boxes will get cheaper too. Cause all these people are, that one day is going to come where you ask for 5,000 boxes and then you get them all. And you're going to be in a big, when you started, I know I think you had a reselling business before, but doing it again, would you have gone the route of doing a loan, or would you strongly recommend or strongly not recommend setting up a foundation, whether it be in cards or anything, to start a business, or is that just dependent on how fast and how high you really wanted to go?
Yeah, I mean, Rudy says it best. He's made a lot of videos about loans and whatnot. It's like people who want to start a business in Pokemon, they watch the same channels I watch. Gary V, Alex Ramosi, Grant Cardone. They watch all these big business guys, and these big business guys have big businesses, like big conglomerates, hundreds of employees, blah blah blah. And they hear them talking about these loans and venture capital and all that stuff. Pokemon is not those industries. You should not, for any reason, need to take a loan to start a business, because a Pokemon business and like scalping, there's a very fine line between those, if we're being honest here. And people, I think even my haters will probably kind of applaud me for being honest about it. Like, we buy shit and we sell it for a little bit more. There's no reason to take a loan. yeah, there's some plays like right now. If you really think Prismatic is going back to 200, there's somebody out there that could justify some hard money loan, buy all the Prismatic off TCGplayer, hold it before the interest gets too high, and then sell. Like that's a gamble, though. That's not business capital. So no, I would no way start with like a some hard money loan or HELOC my house. Like, it's not a business that requires that because your sales grow with your customer base. Like, for example, when I was brand new, like Dream League was a big deal, and Dream League's like $1,000 a box now or something. But at the time, Dream League was like $50. Okay, well, I had like 20 people on my email list. So if even in hindsight, I was like, oh, Dream League's going to be worth 100 in a couple months, like, okay, I take a loan, I buy 500 boxes. The 20 people on my email list, I ain't going to eat that up. I'm going to be sitting on those 500 boxes for who knows how long.
Yeah.
So if you're new, you can't just get right into it. I mean, you could take a loan and risk it all, I guess, but that's not a business play. That's a gamble play. The exception to all this would be if you want to open like a physical store. A lot of people would try to justify a loan more for that.
Sure.
But even that, I'm like, stop playing businessman pretend. Like, if you need to take, say, a 20, 50, whatever $1,000 loan to get a lease and build it up on the inside and get inventory and have employees, like, you're not ready for a business. Watch Rudy's old videos, like he's got a playlist about like starting an LGS. He's like, if you need to borrow money to start a business in this industry, you ain't ready for a business. And I'm saying that to help people out, not to like be mean, because it's not a business that requires capital at all. I mean, just start small, work your way up. People don't realize, like, oh yeah, my meme was like, I'm a 7-figure Pokemon card business in a basement in Omaha, Nebraska. Like, people don't realize that I started out selling I bought it was like 2 boxes of Sky Legends and a box of Remix Bout from Japan.
Heck yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, I built this whole empire on 3 booster boxes, and admittedly a little bit of credit card debt. I was a little risky. I risked it for the biscuit, but I'm not taking a hard money loan.
Yeah.
I'm putting stuff on a credit card and hoping I can pay it off in a month. And that's as risky as I would ever recommend people get.
Yeah, there's definitely a line between a healthy amount of leveraging and just going blasting tens of thousands of dollars in a loan. Because I have just gotten into leveraging a little bit. I finally got my credit back to where I could get a decent credit card, and doing the bulk thing, I kind of got, especially with Magic. With Pokemon, it'd be miserable. I would recommend no one do it, but with Magic, you can get away with doing like mass box openings where you break them down and you can figure out the EV of things. And it's like, I always mention RNG games in all my videos, but I've been an RNG games follower, supporter since my beginning.
He's a goat.
It's, I always refer to this specific video I saw that got me started, and it's just, I think what makes me frustrated about now, especially with all these, vendor POVs and, people just throwing around stacks of cash, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it gives the illusion of grandeur that if you get into Pokemon, you can go out, you can spend $1,000, and the next thing you know, you're going to have 10. And that's just not the way it's going to be. And it's not even Pokemon. That's any business. I mean, the amount of money you have might accelerate how fast you can go. But ultimately, if you don't have anything set up, I mean, you're going to be... It's not going to be pretty at all.
No, you're going to be meeting people on Facebook Marketplace like any other random Joe.
Yeah.
It's like not a business.
Now, I've seen some of your videos where you've talked about some of the risks you've taken before. And to preface that, I admittedly was scared S-less to email you to ask you to talk because, I mean, we're both just regular guys, but when you see someone who's miles above you in every step of the way, or more successful than you, you start to think that maybe you're not worth the time and you're not worth this or that. And ultimately you kind of have to push that aside. And if it's something you want, you go for it. And I remember in a video a long time ago where you said, hey, if you want to ever talk, just email me. And I thought about it for probably like 3 months. And I remember going on your website and I saw that little blip and I was like, you know what? Okay, let's go for it. And now we're sitting here talking. Is there a moment in your business where there is a chance that you either didn't take, that you, looking back on it, could have like really, you could be further where you are now, or a a similar situation where you took a risk and it almost floored your business to the point where you were like, this isn't going to work anymore? And how important is it to do either of those, knowing that either side of the coin could come up? Because risk is inherently baked into this business and hobby almost more than any other hobby or business out there.
Yeah, I mean, like when I took a risk that ended up good, I'll give you an example of both. It was just like when I started kind of experimenting with different TCGs. It's a different market now. Now, I think 99% of our stuff's Pokemon, but for a little bit, you know, Weiss Shorts was a really good seller for us. One Piece, Japanese, even Digimon, Japanese, Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, there was a time where I started buying TCGs from all sorts of IPs, and again, those now that would be probably a bad decision for a lot of like new online sellers, but I got a ton of capital because of those decisions, and I did lose some money on some of it, but like the Weiss Short stuff, back in the Twitch rip and ship days in like 2021, 22, Japanese Weiss Shorts was massive. It got me a huge following on Twitch and a lot of long-term fans. So that was a risk where I'm like, oh, good job, Brian. You did something great. But then there were risks I took that were not so good. I got a little over leveraged on, I mean, not leveraged in that like I took a loan, but if, you know, I looked at Shiny Star V as a story I always tell, where I thought there was a big opportunity because my suppliers like tanked the price. I'm like, oh, cool. They're trying to get rid of it. This is a way better deal than I've been getting. I'm going to spend $30,000 on this set, which was almost all my money. And then I learned about, oh, reprints exist. This was very early on. No one sold Japanese. And I realized that all of the Shiny Star V I bought, it would tank 30% lower like a week later. So like that was a risk where I'm like, okay, it's not always, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. But, you know, when you look at it, all the risks I did take obviously outweighed the risks. Like all the risks I did take obviously paid off because I'm still here and doing well. But yeah, I mean, as far as like you said, like reaching out to somebody who's more ahead of you, and like I'm glad you did, because I'm ballsy with who I reach out to. I mean, I've talked to I mean, ultimately it's like it's Pokemon YouTube. Nobody here's Drake. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think relationships, like if you consider it a risk reaching out to somebody, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? They ignore you. Like, I think everyone should be reaching out to anyone that they could get information for that's helpful, because what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
Nothing. And the best thing that can happen is like a huge, a huge relationship gain. There's a guy, Chase. He's in Wichita. He's a PokeICT. Do you know this guy?
No, when you said Chase, I thought you were going to go with TCG Bull Kings, but I know I have heard of his channel, but no, I haven't watched too much of it.
Okay, yeah, he's mostly on TikTok, I think, but he's got a store in Wichita, Kansas, and you know, he was like nobody in the world of trading cards, but he risked. You know, I called him first, and we kind of went back and forth. And, you know, he at this point, partially thanks to the conversation we've had, but he's been a freaking hustler too. He's got a huge physical store now. He's got, I mean, his aura is insane. He's got all this inventory. He bought land in Costa Rica a couple weeks ago. Like, this dude's crushing it because he took the same kind of risk that I took, and we formed a good relationship, and he's taught me a ton too. So take risks, but not so much with $30,000 on a set that just reprinted. You know.
Well, not only that too, but like, I mean, it's the same kind of confidence booster that you could probably put to like asking somebody out for the first time. It's like you have that pit in your stomach, and when you get crushed, it's never as bad as you set it up to be. But when you win, it is such a boon for everything about you that it's something that I have mentally had a problem with, but now that we're kind of getting things rolling, now it's just I'm 41 and I have decided that I have no problem being a Walmart greeter at 80 years old. It is now spaghetti at the wall time. If I want something, I'm going for it. I'm throwing at it. And, you know, I'm fortunately, well, I shouldn't say fortunate because I would like to have a family at some point, but I don't have a family or kids that really are I don't want to say holding me back, but I don't have those obligations. So it would for me, kind of be a disservice for those who are in my position that want to. And I try to keep that in perspective as I continue to go. On that point with content, you, amongst others, have been instrumental in really getting me going with content. Now, I've said this in an older video, but I think my first 3 videos on this channel were intro videos that I did 1 year apart for 3 years, because every time I did it, I was so nervous about putting myself out there. And now, sometimes I think about where could I be if I would have just stopped being a wuss and just kind of doing it. But I'm starting to see some of the benefits of that. Some viewers are now checking out my Tcgplayer store and buying my singles, and you start getting the affirmations of, hey, you ship great and this, that, the other. And now you're starting to see the cogs kind of all work together. I know what you're going to say probably, but I would love to hear your opinion on anybody out there even thinking about getting into content and why they should do it and how instrumental it is nowadays. And not only Pokemon, but any business that you might want to start.
Yeah. I mean, I've been saying it for years, like multiple videos per year. Like, you need to make content. It is the most important thing. I am a firm believer that you cannot start a business, an online business at the very least, without having content, especially in an industry like Pokemon where like it's everywhere. I mean, hell, car dealerships sell cards now. Like, it's everywhere. So you need to stand out and like become, a beacon of trust, because along with Pokemon being everywhere, there's also fraud everywhere. There's scams everywhere. There's resealed packs. There's people on streaming platforms that are doing crazy things. Like, you need to make content for not only the trust, but also just the awareness. Because like there's so many people that they would watch my videos, they'd make like a Shopify store and they'd buy the domain and then it would sit on the internet. And I'm like, bruh, like there's probably a million websites a day that get created. I don't know the stat, probably tens of hundreds of thousands every day. It's like, how's yours going to stand out if you're not making content? And you could argue that YouTube's saturated, but it's really not. If you look at like the PokeTubers right now that are huge, most of them have only been around for like a year or two. Alpha Investments, obviously 10 years plus, but like Nostalgianomics, couple years, me, 4 years. Poke Profit, I think is pretty new. Anon TCG, I think he's relatively new. Like, all the people, like, not everyone's Leonhardt level old. Like, most of the people that your viewers are probably watching, you included, they've been on for like a year or two. So it's not that saturated. You can get on and say your piece. Pokechuck, I like him. He's new too. Like, you can get on and say your piece, and like people will probably follow you. There's someone likes something about you. You might think, oh, I look like this, or I sound like this, or I don't know enough about that, whatever. Like, somebody likes you, and enough people are gonna like your attributes to where they will watch you. I mean, there's so many people. Like, I'm repulsive to a lot of people, but to 90, it's like 97.6% of people, they love me. It's a like to dislike ratio, and like that's true with everybody. I mean, there's PokeTubers I can't stand, but they do very well because their audience loves them. It's like, so I think the main thing people fear with when getting on content, like they know how effective it is. If you listen to anyone successful, you know how effective it is. They're like worried about looking dumb or sounding dumb or not getting the views, and it's like, look at all the tubers out there. If you love some and hate some, that's proof that there is something for everyone. So yeah, you need to make content, and there's no hope if you don't. Like, I'm gonna draw a line in the sand. You have zero hope of anything successful if you don't make content.
Yeah, I obviously agree with that, and it's something a buddy of mine now and someone I've befriended on YouTube that I really love, which is Poke Pastor. I had that conversation a couple of weeks ago where we talked about it, where sometimes there's overlap in what you might talk about, or someone might post a video a couple of days beforehand and you post the same thing, and it's like, yes, it's a big space, and maybe, like you said, maybe it's probably not oversaturated, but when you get in a small niche like Pokemon or trading cards, it's very easy to think that you're going to come off like a shill because you're doing very similar content to others, when in actuality, you're just a tiny little just a tiny little grain of
bullet.
sand in the whole ecosphere. And yes, there's going to be overlap, but ultimately, just like with RNG games, it's like some people will just deliver it the way you need to hear it and the way you like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even you've said it before, where I mean, all you need is a small smidgen of a reliable audience that comes back from you to time, and that's, to use a word we've used a bunch in this video, a foundation to build on.
Yeah.
They'll always ride and die for you and be there for you. Yeah, I don't know, man. Just content. I always, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I would hear you say that stuff. It's like, well, maybe you can, but once you start, it's just, there's no denying how powerful it is. What's next for you in the content sphere? I mean, I know you were kind of taking a break from some of the more dramatic stuff from the year before and focusing on business stuff this year. And then with the baby, congratulations. You've taken a little bit of a break. When are we going to see that luscious mane of hair back? What's on the docket for your content plan for the rest of the year, or what you got going on?
Yeah, there. I listen to YouTube all day because like babies sleep 20 hours a day. So when she's in my arms sleeping, when I'm not talking to her, I listen to YouTube, and it's so funny being like a fly on the wall now. So I've been gone for like 35 days, and it's just so funny. Like I'll go on live streams. People will bring me up once in a while, and they're like, they see my tweets, and they're like, "Oh, he's crashing out. Parenthood is making him like stressed. Like he's making these tweets because he's a stressed out new parent." Like, bro, I'm good. Like, I'm just trying to make waves while I'm not on video, because video takes a long time. Even my crappy videos take a long time to make. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep pushing the envelope on tweets and Instagram stuff, because like the engagement is still really high. Like when you just make some hot takes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm good. Like this newborn baby stuff, super easy. I just want to kind of be there for Andrea and make sure that I'm free for everything. So how long is the hiatus going to last? I don't know. It's been 35 days. I like being a fly on the wall. I might go another 35 days. But it'll be the same kind of content I've been making. Same old stuff. I'm going to try to focus on like more. It's hard because I want to focus on more educational stuff.
Sure.
Like how to start a business. But everything is so different than when I started. It's like, and I don't want to look naive to that. Like I don't want to look like out of touch. Like back when I started making these videos, getting a distro was still hard, but it wasn't impossible. And, selling stuff on your own website, it was feasible, and vending wasn't nearly what it was now. And it's so different. Like I honestly, like after 5 years of making millions of dollars in this and all these subscribers, like I have imposter syndrome with making business content, which is ironic because everyone thinks I'm a chronic narcissist, which is kind of what I put off. But like I have genuine imposter syndrome, because I'm like, what the hell am I going to tell these people? I've never vended, and that seems to be a really good way to enter the market. I've never done bulk, and that seems to be a good way to enter the market. I've never done these hacks, these like electronic virtual. I don't even know what that is really, and that seems like a good way to enter the market. And Nostalgianomics just started doing those. And like there are so many ways to enter this market now that I am completely unaware of, and the way that I got rich and successful, like honestly, doesn't seem like a great or even a possible way to go about it anymore. Like I took down some PowerPoints from years ago that were really good. I took them down because of security reasons, but some people have emailed me like, "Hey, can you put up the audio for it?" And I'm like, bro, none of it's relevant anymore. Like you can't do what I did. And I'm not saying that like, look how cool I am. It's like I'm being self-aware that we are in a way different climate. And I would love for the people out there to do what I did. The proof is I freaking made the content. Like I tried, like I want the competition. I want to help people out. So I say it like with sadness that like the shit I was putting out, it's not really relevant in this particular market. It probably will be, but I don't know. I think maybe my first video back will probably be the last 2 minutes of me monologuing to you. It might just be basically honesty like that. Yeah, and I'll probably suggest all the methods that I did not use to get big. I think the one thing that's still very easy to get into content is build an audience, and then do rip and ships. That's the only, because that's kind of what I did for a while. I had a Twitch following. If you have like I had 70 regular viewers on Twitch. I think I had like 1,000 follow, whatever it was. But 70-ish people regularly watched me on Twitch, and we did about 250,000 a month in sales, which was 20-ish thousand in profit, which is a lot of money. That's all you need. You need like 70 people. So I'll probably make a video about that. But yeah, man, it's for a chronic narcissist, allegedly, the imposter syndrome is real. Like I don't know what to say. It's a good, you asked a good question. I have no idea what content will be like when I'm back. I have no clue.
Yeah, I have imposter syndrome myself, man. I mean, even though I've been following the bulk Bible set before me by RNG and TCG Bowl Kings, and I know what I'm talking about. Even when the one video that really took off, some schmuck reacted to a video and he was just off base completely, and it kind of just, and even knowing that he's wrong and everyone knowing that he was wrong, I'll have a bad day where I have a couple orders or something goes wrong, and it's like, why am I even putting this stuff out there for people? It's so easy to start second guessing yourself on what you put out there, whether it's old or not. I would really honestly recommend, maybe not all of it, but it may be outdated, but put that information out there, because I know it may just be a me thing. I watch older videos of stuff from people that are 2 or 3 years old, where even though the information might be outdated, just simply seeing someone successful, that you know is successful now, doing something 2 or 3 years ago in a less, not nearly where you are, just seeing that kind of surroundings of, okay, this guy really put in that work and grinded. That might help someone out who's just getting started to push it a little more. Just seeing that information actually worked, and then they can, if it may not work, maybe they can take that and figure out their own thing. Because a lot of this stuff is, it's like that Pirates of the Caribbean line. It's like guidelines. It's not necessarily a rule that you have to do this. It's just a guideline of maybe how to do things. So I think you should think about putting that out there, or maybe creating a PokeNe internet archive of old stuff. I know we're I know we're getting close to the end here. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about since you've been gone from the internet for so long, or anything that you wanted to ask me about the way I do things, or anything under the sun?
Oh, we can go a little longer.
Oh, okay. I take that back then. So let's see, because I was prepared to.
Okay, I was very clear. I had to be done at 1, but yeah. She's eating.
It's not a problem at all. So I think the other thing I wanted to ask was about the. I did want to talk. I'm glad you brought it up. Was the Coop thing? For a lot of you who are unaware, I can't remember his name. Jason Page. Something. Yeah, the voice of the theme song for the longest time.
Voice of the generation.
Yes, has for the longest time had a very memed on list of accoutrement to his signature, where you could have it in different ink and different this and different that, and have all these add-ons, and a signature that might be $30 or $40 turns into a $400 or $500 price tag. The probably nicest person in the hobby, one of the most recognizable people, Coop's Collections, made some cards that were done by an actual artist, so that is a one-up for him. But someone who was critical of that has now kind of put that is now doing that to where he is charging for his signature, even though he does them for free still. It's when you kind of clown on someone in any degree and then you do it yourself, it kind of has a little bit of hypocriticism to it. Is there anything that you've done in the past where you had a really just hard stance, I'll never do this, and then ended up doing it? And where would you kind of toe the line of kind of just always saying, nope, I'm never going to, and knowing that there's going to be a time where you might change your mind and have to face the fear of the crowd, and that Batman line where you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the problem with like Coop and stuff I put out too, it's like the internet is so permanent, and what's not permanent is the market and like the world. I mean, like look at the shit that's been going on in America in the past year. Nothing's predictable. And so like, when Coop clowned on Jason for the signature thing, which is cringe in my opinion, and then turned around and did something similar, yeah, he's gonna get shit for being a hypocrite. And there are things I've said years ago that like I've switched stances on MSRP, for example. When I promised everyone that I would only do MSRP, I was honest. We were in like in a very early time where I was getting a ton of stuff from distro, and I didn't see a point in charging market price because distro was charging distro price, and then they stopped doing that. Then they're like, oh hey, yeah, like literally today, literally this morning, Prismatic Evolutions reprinted, kind of. There's more of them, I guess.
Mhm.
And distro's like, hey, you can get 100 boxes of Prizzy Evolutions, but you need to spend, I'm not going to say the number, but it's a very high number in supplies to get those. And then they're still only 20% under market. And so it's like we're in a different situation. So, when I was like, oh yeah, I'm only going to charge MSRP because I don't have overhead. I didn't have employees at that time. It was such a different time. So yeah, a lot of people would look at my market price now and they'd think I was a hypocrite, just like they think Coop is. And I think that's completely fair feedback. But you have to look at like when you say something, even if you're completely honest about it, and even if it's objectively true, what people don't consider is the world changes, the market changes. And so the one thing that I'll never reverse, I guess, was I always made business content teaching people how to do what I did, and I always said I'll never hide it behind a paywall, and I never
Mm.
will. Like that was because I could probably make at the time I probably could have made, I don't know, $5,000 a month hiding stuff behind a payroll if I made people subscribe and blah blah blah. But I always said I would never do that, and I never will. Will there be some kind of Patreon educational thing one day in the future? Maybe, but none of the information will be exclusive to that. It will be more like curated. Like, hey, I tell you what shipping box sizes to use, but you got to dig through the YouTube channel type thing. Um, so yeah, like there's things that like I will always forever keep going, but it's like people need to look at a lot of YouTubers and be like, okay, when was the upload date? Like 2 or 3 years ago, I made a video about like consulting, and again, not exclusive information, but if you want to buy my time, $100 an hour, I'll jump on a call with you. We'll talk for an hour. I'll give you, more of a curated
Sure.
business plan instead of a general YouTube business. And that was true. I objectively did that. People objected, like people truly called me, and I charged them $100 an hour, and blah blah blah. Well, people see that video that I posted 3 years ago, and they're like, "Oh, you said $100 an hour." And it's like, my time's more valuable now. Things have changed. I wouldn't do anything for $100 an hour now. And so like that's the problem with YouTube. It's everything's so permanent, and people get called out on it all the time. I mean, all sorts of creators. And I'm just like, eh. Now the Coop situation, did signing a card go from cringe to not cringe in the past X amount of years? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think so personally, but his market has gotten different. Like if he didn't charge for an autograph online and he was just like, oh yeah, you can buy this custom card for $5 and I'll sign it, like he'd probably be signing signatures for hours a day. So like that's kind of different too. So yeah, I don't know. I think YouTube's tricky that way. I think that kind of attitude, mostly for like my stuff in particular, it's like it encourages people like us to delete old videos because you're getting held accountable for something in a
Sure.
whole different world.
I didn't think about that aspect of that. What's funny is just like other aspects of what you do and I do, when it comes to the vending series, and one thing that maybe for Coop and Beard Dad, a lot of the bigger guys advantage, you don't see the hidden cost of some things. So no, yes, they
Mhm.
get subsidized by their revenue and ads on their videos and stuff. But when they're at these shows, I would love to know the numbers. I can't imagine that a lot of the singles they sell, they make anything on. Because let's say someone comes in and buys like $100 card, or they end up giving away $100 card because someone donates $100. We don't know what they bought that card at, and a lot of times, and that's not counting the fact that YouTube takes a cut of that donation. I
Mhm.
believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that maybe the cut isn't as big when you're that huge, but after the fees and what YouTube takes and whatever, they may be selling a $100 card for $80, and then, that might be an avenue where doing something like he did, where you're charging for a autograph on a custom card, might make a little more sense, because the money that you're kind of losing, you're kind of gaining back on doing something a little more original. And the same thing goes with the car business. I mean, I have a shop around me locally that when they release a product, they split the middle between MSRP. They won't do MSRP, but they won't go full TCG market. They'll do like right in the middle, so that way it's not blowing out someone's wallet to get it for the casual collector. And then if you're a scalper and you can manage to come in and make a little bit, you make a couple bucks and everyone's happy for the most part. When you are handling your business, how much do you worry about making? I know we kind of touched on this in the beginning, but like, where do you draw that line between how happy you want to make people, like having a happy customer and having a happy, buyer?
Wallet.
Because, yeah,
the whole like going in between thing, I don't look at that as, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I don't look at that as like necessarily a good business move either, because like you're gonna piss off people who expect a certain price, so 50% of your audience is like kind of annoyed, and then also you're not like maximizing what you're bringing home to like your family, so like 50% of your wallet, quote unquote, is annoyed. DJ's Poke Center, he kind of does this, not quite half, but he do you know him? DJ's Poke Center.
yes.
Dude's good. I love this guy. He's new YouTube. Another example of YouTube's not as saturated as people think. Like this.
Yeah, he does like the whole big distribution thing, right? Or am I thinking of someone else?
I don't know. He doesn't have a distributor or anything. He does a lot of like collection buyouts and he sells them at his store. But
yes,
he watches my content. He's a big fan of my stuff, and I know he watches like Anon and Rudy. Great dude. Yeah. Anyway, and I don't know if he still does this, but for a long time, he would buy these collections, and then to kind of like appease his fan base, he would sell it all under market, obviously over MSRP, but he'd take like a 10% discount on market. And I kind of look at that and I'm like, I get what he's doing, but like, why? Because people are happy paying market. That's why market is market. And I think that's one thing I didn't understand back when I was talking about it. It's like, market price by definition means the market is happy to pay it. That's going to piss people off, but it's true. The market is a direct effect from humans' opinion on a price. It's not arbitrary. It's MSRP, ironically, is an arbitrary number, because the market is what people are actually doing to behave. You go to a football game and they charge $8 for a water bottle. It's like, yeah, the water bottle could probably cost them 40 cents, but the football fans they want water. They're happy to pay the $8. That's why it works. If the football fans weren't happy to pay the $8 bottle of water, it would be a $5 bottle. Like, the market in itself is created by people's okayness to pay a price. So when I look at someone like DJ's Poke Center, for example, who doesn't have access to distro, who doesn't have access to unlimited inventory, I'm like, just charge the full market price, or don't, because like either be like a Danny Phantom character where like your thing is MSRP, or do what everyone else is doing. But you're leaving money on the table if you're giving away like a 10% discount, because ultimately, and this is capitalism, baby. Ultimately, when the market settles down, and that's what my tweet was about, we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Most people aren't gonna be loyal to you because you gave them an 8% discount on market. They're gonna go with whoever's cheaper, and big dogs like me are probably gonna be cheaper because we're gonna get 1,000 boxes of ME7, and we're gonna be like, oh shit, the invoice from distro is $350,000 or whatever it is. Like, I better fire sell it, and then people are gonna buy mine for $100 instead of DJ's for 107, and that's how it works. That's capitalism, baby. So, yeah, like the whole, I think you got to just do what's best for you and see how the market adjusts. Yeah. And if you're not selling anything, like, then that's a you problem. You have to adjust. But the market, the invisible hand, as they call it in the business world, the invisible hand never lies. So do what's best for you and your family, and take some hate, But yeah, the market's gonna do what the market's gonna do.
Do
Market's gonna
you
market.
do you even try to explain that to people anymore? Because to
No.
throw a couple of other names out there of YouTubers, I think we both like watching is Kira and Opossum Bud. I love their
Love
content.
them.
I love watching them. But out of all the people I watch, and this is not a dig in them on any way, they're definitely part of the casual collector side more than the business side. So,
Oh yeah.
especially Kyra when she goes in on quick flips and other stuff, and it's like, you have your pay it now or your buy it now tax of, hey, it's here in it's in my store, it's right now, this is the price. And sometimes when she or him will go in on that aspect of the business, it's like, I love you guys, but that's I think you're kind of off base with that kind of aspect. I know you said no, but I mean, for anyone out there who's thinking that they have to defend themselves when they're pricing stuff on their business, I mean, how fast would you say they need to get that out of their head and just say, hey, you need to focus on you, do your business, and like you said, just let the market dictate what you do.
Yeah, I love Opossum and Kira. I think they're great people. I think their content's hilarious. I don't have a single bad thing to say about either one of them. I love their stuff. And Opossum Bud more than anyone, he'll tell, like, he's made some critical videos about me. Like, I think honestly, I probably got criticized more than anyone else on his channel ever. I can
Wow.
say that pretty confidently. Not his YouTube channel, but he used to do
Sure.
Instagram exclusively. And I can't think of anyone that, besides actual like fraudulent criminals, I can't think of anyone that got crucified more than me. And like the dude's awesome. Like I love his content. We've talked a million. Like he's a fantastic guy. Kira too. Like they both have so many fundamental problems, I'm sure, with me and the other evil capitalists out there. But ultimately, like when it comes down to it, none of this shit matters. In all honesty, and I think they and me and most other people kind of know that. Like it's not that serious.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get that out of the way. Like it's all good. And I think as far as advice for people who are starting out, it's like you do you, boo. I mean, if you want to be the nice guy, awesome. That's awesome. It'll have great benefits. You're probably not going to make money in this industry because the industry doesn't allow that. Nostalgianomics, massive YouTuber now, massive audience, probably making several $100,000 a year on rip and ships and whatnot. Like he doesn't have distro. Well, he does. He has like one or two distros, but they
Sure.
don't give him anything. He gets like maybe 2 cases per new release. If he charged, if he charged 10 times MSRP on those 2 cases, he's still not making shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what I mean? Like it, so, and then me, even I have distro, and I'm a bigger dog in the distro world. I'd say I'm in the top 10-ish%. Once I sell out of my stuff, they're charging me damn near market price. Like distro, like they charge damn near market price. So if I'm giving a new person advice, it's like, yeah, take care of yourself if you want to. That's going to be the only way you survive. But if you're charging too much, you're not going to get an audience. So then you got to lower it a little bit. And then if you finally get, DJ, his problem was he was selling out too quickly. He put stuff on a good sale, and then whales would buy him out completely. They'd buy his whole entire site out. And so I talked to him like, dude, you gotta limit people to X amount of dollars per order because you selling it to whales that ain't helping your brand. And so like in his case, he needs to raise his prices. And like that's the game. You lower your prices until you sell too much, and then you raise your prices until you're not selling enough, and then somewhere in the middle is market price, and it's your market price. People like Cool Trainer Ryan, they can. I don't watch his stuff very often, but I like him. I like him as a creator. But like I'm guessing he can probably charge more per pack than Chuck because he's got like a cult following.
Yeah.
People like Coop can charge a stupid price for his autograph because enough people like him. I couldn't sell my autograph for $100. And so it's like that's the marketing. So advice for new people, you do you, boo, and see what works.
The goal of the video has been accomplished. You saying you do you, boo. I am clipping that and I'm putting it on one of those red buttons. That way, every time I second guess myself during the day, I'm going to tap that sucker and it's you do you, boo. Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that's solid advice too, man. But yeah, I know we're at the hour mark, so yeah, we're probably gonna wrap it up here soon. Like I said before, did you have anything you wanted to talk about? I know it's been a while since you've been on, or if you had any questions at all that you wanted to touch before we kind of let you get back to the kiddo.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if it's a coincidence or if it's like a causation court. It's not a causation. I don't know if it's like my own brain or reality, but every time I leave on a vacation, like I'll go on these like 10-day vacations once a year, or in this case, having a freaking baby, it just seems like everything just like I'm watching from the outside going, holy shit, I'm missing everything. There's so much going on. And so my final remark would just be like, "Damn, I'm missing out right now." But it's fun to watch as a fly on the wall. I'm loving the PokeTube right now. Uh, as a request to the PokeTube Nation, I want to see more different stuff. Danny Phantom's really been switching up his content a little bit. PokeRev for a while, he was doing like kind of a different type of format. I want to see different formats from people. Like this is my request to PokeTube. I'm sick of watching Tcgplayer charts. My favorite type of content is when they leave their little box, which I'm
Yeah.
always in my box. I have vlogs sometimes, but I want to see something different. That's my request because I have nothing to put forward. I'm hypocritically asking other people because like I'm not doing shit. I'm staying home. I'm gonna take another 30 days probably. And so my humble request to PokeTube is switch it up a little bit because selfishly I need to watch something different.
I like it.
That's all I gotta say.
I'll take you up on that challenge. I've already got a few days in my head, and I know there's some out there that are probably going to do that too. Brian, I can't thank you enough for the time again. I've always, like I said, I've always wanted to talk to you and to have the time today to hash just to talk about whatever and kind of hear your take in person has been a privilege. Before we sign off, if you want to give them that famous pitch on where to find you and where to buy your stuff before we head out.
Buy my stuff at PokeNe.com. Subscribe to the channel where I lost 100 subscribers since my hiatus. Let's get that fixed.
I love it. All right, man. You make sure you guys go check them out.
I appreciate you having me on for real.
I appreciate you very much, man. We'll guys see you in the next video. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one. Bye.